Welcome to episode 129 of Untitled iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar, is here. How you doing, Warren?
Doing good. Cold, buried under snow, but doing fine.
Yeah, you guys got a little bit of snow, and returning to the show, I'm always welcome him back. Our guest this week is Mr. Chuck Joyner from MacVoices. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing great, David, but I'm buried under the same snowstorm that got Warren.
Yeah, I think you got a little bit more than probably he did. So
I don't know. We got about 12 inches here. I'm not sure what you got, Warren.
Yeah, 6 or 7 here, with a layer of ice in between, so it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But that's a good reason to curl up and listen to a great show this week, and we've got lots of good things to talk about. Fitness Plus is out this week. We're going to talk a little bit about the AirPods Max, just a review from last week, and iOS 14.3, beta, all kinds of fun stuff. So why not? Let's just dive right in here and get into the news of the week here. First story I have is on Mac Rumors. Mac OS Big Sur 11.1 has enabled full screen iPhone and iPad apps on M1 Max. Apple did release Big Sur yesterday as we record this on 11.1, headlining the features including of course, the AirPods Max support for all the devices, including Mac, and privacy labels, which we'll talk about privacy in a little bit here, and a dedicated Apple TV Plus app. We'll talk about that a little bit here as well. But the big thing was notable as far as iOS goes. The iOS apps that are on the M1s are now going to be able to go into full screen mode, and you'll be able to run those apps pretty good. Warren, have you run any iOS apps that have come out lately?
yeah, since then I just play around with a few that I downloaded and play with the full screen. It's different per app. So I tried one that wouldn't do much. Then I tried another where you could actually drag the windows and actually the app actually resized with the window, which was something I didn't see before too. So it has, I don't know if it has something to do with whether it's an iPhone app or iPad app or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I played around with those. One thing I did notice, I don't know if either of you noticed, but all of a sudden IPAs extracted off iMazing don't seem to want to open for me after the latest update. So I'm wondering if Apple
might have caught on.
Apple might have blocked that out. So just throwing that out there.
Chuck, have you tried any apps on your M1 Air? You have the MacBook Air, right?
Yeah, I have the Air. I have not. I definitely did not install this update yet, just because I'm one of those guys that I wait at least a week before things. Before I feel confident. Although I think this is really interesting, and I don't think it should be any surprise that, like Warren said, the experience is inconsistent. I mean, we're still early days on this.
Yeah.
But in fact, I was just checking my phone here because this morning, when I logged into pulled my phone up and went to the App Store, I found that I had 34 app updates, which is a pretty healthy number of updates for a Thursday.
They do. They do that when the new releases come out. I think the developers start to jump on that too. But.
And that's exactly where I was going with it, Warren. I wouldn't be surprised if some developers aren't out there tweaking and doing a little bit of experimentation to make sure the experience is good everywhere.
Also, could have been the privacy change that got implemented. So I'm sure a lot of the apps did that. Yeah. We're gonna hit on that topic here in just a minute. But I've seen Lumafusion, which is a great video editing app on the iPad, and I've seen it installed on the M1, and it seems like it's pretty solid. So it's going to be interesting to see those types of apps that could potentially be something you could do on a Mac as opposed to on an iPad, to do that type of thing.
Yeah, I still, especially with Lumafusion, because I've talked to those folks a number of times, and I think that they really have developed Lumafusion for the touch interface, and so I think they would stick with that, and as the primary experience. But on the other hand, there's no reason you couldn't use it on the Mac if it runs successfully. And the way we're going, there's no reason it shouldn't run successfully.
Yeah, for sure. So. Next story, also Mac Rumors. iOS 14 is now installed on 81% of iPhones from the last 4 years. Apple today finally updated the iOS adoption numbers and gave us the first official look of what the official adoption rates are, and it's 81% across all devices introduced in the last 4 years for iOS 14. Pretty impressive, I think, with the devices. And the iPad on here was 75%. So you've got some pretty solid numbers here compared to Android. that is probably like about 5 or 10% adoption as far as latest versions. What do you think about this, Jeff?
I think this is a point that gets overlooked so often by so many mainstream folks. That is so impressive from a security standpoint, from a usability standpoint, but the idea that developers can take advantage of everything that Apple is putting into the iPhones now, both hardware and software, and be confident that 81% as of this will, those folks will be able to see those things and take advantage of them and benefit from them, as opposed to that other platform that you just stumbled over. Where, there are times it feels like you almost, if you're running that platform, you have to say, okay, this is the operating system. Here's the app I want to run. Do I have to go through the hassles of upgrading or not? And with iOS folks, it's just, I think, I mean, maybe it's just us, but I never think about, gee, I wonder if this will run under my version of the OS. It's just never a question.
Yeah,
it really isn't for iPhone. Warren, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, not so much on the Mac, I guess. But yeah, for iOS, historically, it's been, if it worked on the last version, it's going to work on a new version. The adoption rate gets high when Apple doesn't drop older models of the phone with the new updates, which they've been pretty good with the last few years. I think only one phone usually gets chopped off a year, it seems like, at this point, where I think it was a little bit more aggressive a few years ago. They would drop a few more phones off the list of supported devices. But I mean, there's very little reasons not to update it. Performance usually seems about the same for the most part, and you get, they tout all the good features that you want. And I have an Android tablet, and I check the check update thing all the time for the new version of whatever the Android is, and nothing, and I'm like,
never is.
I could sideload it maybe, but why bother? But so.
I don't even know why you have an Android tablet, but okay.
For science. It's all for science.
Yes.
So no, I mean, Apple says there's an update, everybody gets the update. So that's the difference, and that's why that's why people are gonna install it, because probably the Android people are like, forget it, I don't even feel like checking anymore. They'll let me know.
But that's an interesting point, Warren. And I really hadn't thought about it in exactly those terms. The idea that Apple, I mean, it puts the update right in your face, and not because we're Apple people, but it's you get the badges with the thing, I can't say it, with the alerts. There's an update. There's an update. They don't push it out to you, without you accepting it, but they let you know it's there. As opposed to the situation you're talking about, because this may come as a shock to David, but I too own an Android tablet. It's in the bottom of a drawer somewhere because I actually had a good reason for buying that particular model. And then that reason disappeared. And as soon as it disappeared, great, it's gone. But I was struck by the fact that there were so few updates to it. Where I was watching iOS continue to evolve and change, this thing just laid there. Now, I also, to be fair, I didn't go out to look for the updates, but I felt like because I'm an Apple user, I was used to being, I was a little spoiled. I found out being catered to, and as opposed to have to go out and jump through all the hoops.
And to be honest, the updates that they do on Android are not that exciting for the most part. Like when they do the major, from like the 10 to 11 or the name differences, there's very little differences. I know Apple doesn't always have big changes in their operating systems too, but I've never really found like a reason on the Android tablet to say, oh, I have to do this because I need this. Whereas on the iPhone, there's, features that I definitely want on the iPhone or the iPad. So it definitely, I think Apple gives you a better reason to do the updates than Android does.
Yep. Okay, let's go on next story. This story's been all over the news for the last day or two here. Facebook says Apple's upcoming anti-tracking prompt is more about profit than privacy. Facebook today, in a blog post, claims Apple's upcoming anti-tracking privacy-focused change in iOS 14 will have a quote-unquote harmful impact on the many small businesses, that are struggling to stay afloat and on the free internet that will rely more than ever. And then they decided to launch full-page ads in both the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and had to make a huge deal out of this. And a lot of grievances that they're complaining about Apple and their policies. Apple responds back and says, this is we're protecting our users. Chuck, what's been your thoughts on this? I know this has been throughout the news and we've been talking about it.
Oh boy, this is one that can just raise my blood pressure. I mean, this is so self-serving.
Me too. It's just,
whenever you see somebody like this jump up and say, "Oh yeah, we're looking out for somebody else." Let's follow the money. Where's the money come from? I guess the only spin I would put on it is, Facebook is looking out for the smaller businesses because that's where Facebook makes its money. Is if you're a Facebook user, and especially if you publish anything on Facebook, that they are constantly saying, boost this post for $5, boost this post for $10.
Right.
Come and advertise with us. And that's where I see it's like, okay, if you want to say that is your support of small businesses, fine. But it's a little bit disingenuous to say, oh yeah, we're sticking up for the small businesses, and you neglect to mention how that your business is built on, at least partially, on that, and on taking the information of users who those small businesses attract and then using it to benefit yourself. And it's just, the whole thing is just so disingenuous, I can barely stand it.
It is. Warren, we talked about this yesterday on Max of the Future. Well, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm not as angry about it as some other people. I heard Dave Hamilton talking today on one of those shows on Daily Observation Show, and he made it sound a little more clearer to me. So, small businesses do use Facebook to target ads to the local people. You'll see local ads all the time. Advertisers want to do this. Businesses want to do this, especially nowadays. They want to get, advertising is not new. This is going on for years and years and years. And, the dream is to target people. That's their ultimate goal, is to know who you are, where you are, so I could sell you this product. And as a consumer, you want to, you don't want to get ads that don't pertain to what you want. So, I don't know. Facebook has a business model. They sell your information to them, and it's well known. And they're not selling to drug dealers. They're not selling it to your spouses to get dirt on you. They're not. As far as I know, they give it to either the advertisers or the police when requested. And every tech company will give it to police if they want. They're asked to do that. So it's a business. The only thing that's wrong is we're not fully upfront with what kind of privacy we're giving up. And that's where the line needs to be kind of fixed. And I think Apple is saying, we're trying to fix it by giving you these labels to tell the people this is what they're giving up. So I'm still unsure if the new system allows you to uncheck what they want you to have at this point. Is that what it is? You can opt out of a lot of this stuff, or they're just letting you know so you don't use it.
Well, yeah, I was going to just read the statement Apple gave on this back to Facebook, and they incensed and responded back saying, "We believe this is a simple matter of standing up for our users," which makes me feel good. Users should know when their data is being collected, shared across other apps and websites, and they should have the choice to allow that or not. App tracking transparency in iOS 14 does not require Facebook to change its approach to tracking users or creating targeting advertising. It simply requires the user to have a choice. So what's going to happen is when you install an app for the first time, the App Store has now changed this with 14.3. The pop-up's going to come up and say, Facebook would like the permission to track across apps and websites owned by other companies. And it'll say your data will be used to track this. And you either say allow tracking or ask the app not to track. It's done. Simple. I mean, that's all Apple is doing. They want to give you a choice.
Right.
So I think it's fair in itself.
It's fair, but Facebook has a fair point too. Whereas if enough people do that, then their business model is shot, and then there's no more Facebook. So I mean, you can't. Yeah. You know, that's how they make their money. It's not like they're making their money anywhere else other than that, selling your information to advertisers, as far as I know. Yeah. They have some devices here and there, but that's how they make their money. So if everybody opts out and just uses Facebook, privately, then they don't have a reason to exist anymore.
So I guess I'm looking. I agree with what Warren just said. To a point. Yeah. Okay. But the thing is, Facebook has abused the situation. And unfortunately, some app developers have abused the situation too. That we find out as different versions of iOS have come out, there's been more and more tracking, more and more things discovered. And you find out that, gee, this well, I'm not going to call the app, but I know there was at one point, there was an app for finding the cheapest gas in a given location. Gas Buddy, and they were sending out back all kind of information about what you were doing when you weren't using the app. Yeah. So, Facebook and some of these developers have put Apple in this position. And let's be fair about this. Okay. Apple, it didn't say in that statement, David, that Apple benefits from this because it enhances, because it does. Apple definitely does, because these other guys have given Apple this product to sell, and that product is our privacy. And Apple is willing to include that in their operating systems as part of the reason you want to get in on their operating systems, the reason you want to use their products.
Right. So that's a marketing thing for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apple saying we respect your privacy is not because they love us. It's a marketing thing. It's to get us to trust them and to buy their products and to use their services.
But it's also in keeping with Apple's social stance on a lot of things. And so the way I look at it is that Facebook and the developers who have been abusing this have just handed Apple the baseball bat to beat them with. And Apple's beating them hard. Right. And now all of a sudden they say, hey, we don't like this. And yes, of course you don't like it because you were abusing us up to this point.
Right.
So it's not the fact that Facebook actually sells the data to these companies. It's just the amount they're doing it, or they're getting more aggressive in it. So is there a line? Is there something saying that, okay, you could have, like rules written up, Facebook, you could have this, this, and this, and this, and that's it. And then we cut you off, or is it where do you stop?
I kind of think that Apple has drawn the line where it should be. That if I want to be tracked, or if I don't mind being tracked by app A, then I have that option. And if I don't want to be tracked by app A or any apps, I don't have to say it. They're giving me the option. I mean, the argument has been that all this information, all this data is giving me targeted advertisements to things that I'm interested in. And that sounds good. And actually, I like that idea because I'm not in the market for a skateboard. So I really don't want to see skateboard advertisements, but I might be in the market for a hard drive. And so I'd much rather see hard drive advertisements, but not at the expense of giving away all the information that has been taken from about me and about David, not you, about you, Warren. That's it's a great question. Where's the degree? But I think Apple is now saying this is what we're giving our users. And there are companies I would feel very comfortable saying, yeah, track me all you want. And others like, no chance.
Right. I mean, we're being tracked on. I mean, I think Dave even said today, but the information a lot of these companies get, they have. I mean, we're talking our names, our email addresses, and our addresses, and their phone books have been around for 50 years. I mean, like most of that stuff is in there anyways. So, so they're getting a lot of stuff anyways. I mean, my only point is Facebook. If enough people start doing that, they're going to change something. They're going to make it a pay model, or maybe they'll say if you click that thing saying I don't want to be tracked, they'll lock you on the app. Who knows? But. This is their business. The front page ad thing is definitely in poor taste. I don't think it was something they should have done. But I get both sides. So I think Apple's doing the right thing, but I empathize a little bit with Facebook, I guess is what I'm saying.
All right. Fair enough. Just so everybody knows, and this is in the article too, the settings app does give you the option to view which apps have request permission to track you for advertising purposes, and make those changes as you see fit. So you can go in and turn off any advertising that they may do by setting that. And the developer has to address this as part of the App Store review guidelines, that they have that option in place. So. It's quite a debate. It's going to definitely be interesting to see where things go with this. But especially with Facebook, you haven't seen too many other app developers have made such a big thing about it as much as Facebook has. So we'll see where it goes. I think that's really where all goes to it. So, all right, so let's go ahead and I also I put a link in the show notes for the App Store privacy, because Apple does a great job of really laying out all their privacy policies and what they do. So give that a review as well. So, all right, we talked about. Let's move on to the topics this week. We talked about last week, of course, as many people did, the AirPods Pro Max that came out last week, and we talked about it pretty extensively, but. Chuck was kind enough and let us use a MacVoices viewer that actually put up a nice little write-up of what really the differences are between this and the higher-end headphones. And you mentioned a couple of them here, the Beyerdynamic Amiron Wireless Copper for $699 and Sennheiser RS 195s for $449 and so on and so forth. They're all linked here in the show notes. You could see this comparison. These are really, really high-end headphones. I mean, people who are spending serious amounts of money on these types of headphones are obviously big-time audiophiles. But, you look at the comparison of what the AirPods Pro Max have. And I'm not going to go through all the differences we have. I have them in the show notes here, but things like spatial audio, Atmos 7.1 support, active noise canceling, and going on so on and so forth, extended battery life, but using a SoC. There is a lot of. It really gives a really open view of what the difference is with these headphones, and. I really like, the last comment he had said was, so if you're someone who appreciates high-end audio and tight integration with the Apple ecosystem, there is a good chance these headphones are for you. And there's a fashion angle to them as well, which I thought that was a neat thing. And one other thing to add too, as well, is the ability to add features over time via software updates. None of those headphones that are mentioned as far as the high-end will have that capability. So what did you guys think, Chuck? What did you think when you? I know we talked about this a little bit when on MacVoices Live the other day. What these comments were about the headphones?
I mean, it was touched on a little bit during our discussion the previous week. But the idea that these headphones are not probably for the three of us. They're for the serious audiophile who doesn't mind spending this kind of money. But as you just excuse me, as you just said. The one thing that struck me, and it really hadn't even occurred to me, that you can, because of the chips in these headphones, you'll be able to upgrade them with whatever new features. And then I think it was Mark Fuccio brought up that, we already have a precedent for that with spatial audio being added to the AirPods Pro. So there are things that you could do to these headphones, and the idea that future-proofs them a little bit. So it's not necessarily going to be like, next year they're going to bring out the new AirPods Pro Max 2, with something that can only be done there. The odds are that, it might look a little different, maybe new colors, maybe a different kind of fit, maybe a different kind of case, but the odds are pretty good that at least some of those new capabilities will be able to be uploaded and used in these headphones. So I think that changed my opinion of it. Doesn't mean I'm going to buy any at this price level because it's just not a product I would use. But still,
it's not practical for me. Yeah. Any thoughts, Warren?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that there's more expensive headphones out there. There's things called reference headphones, which are $2,000, $3,000. Studio
monitors. Yep.
And I guess it's what the professionals use. And I don't know, what the difference between that. I think they have a wire and their true sound, I guess, is what it is. So they're obviously not in that market. Apple's in the higher end headphone market, but I think they're trying to be more of a mainstream fun version of that. And I think that's what they're trying to go for. As I said before in the shows, I'm sure they're great. I'm sure they sound great. I'm sure the features are great. I love my AirPods Pro. I'm just not a headphone person, so they're not for me. But if they come down a little bit in price within the year, like the HomePod did, I think they'll start to sell.
Yeah, if the price does come down. So, but I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was a good just to review what we discussed last week about these headphones. And buyer beware. Be aware of that. If you want them, I think they're for you. If you don't, then yes, you'll move on and then look for something else. So, and then beta this week. Warren, of course, I know you're on iOS 14.4 beta 1. It just got released to the developers yesterday, and then the public beta is out as of today. Doesn't seem like they really said much about what has been updated since 14.3. Have you seen anything as of yet?
Not a thing. Not one thing. It's
it's pretty quiet. Other than it's another version.
It's another version. They did a Mac beta the same day. I don't see much of it first. Nope. It runs exactly the same. It doesn't seem any faster, any slower. All the apps open, and nothing else is popping up.
And we got a couple links in show notes for its iPad OS 14.4 beta 1, and then you also have Apple Watch OS 7.3. Did you upgrade your watch too?
Yes.
Okay, not that I'm surprised. Why should you even ask?
I'm all in.
And then tvOS also, you never know what they do on tvOS either. So 14.4 is out with developers on that as well.
Updated itself. I think it usually does that.
Yeah. And then also this was interesting. HomePod, you don't normally hear about a beta for HomePod. The 14.4 software update actually came out, and they added some new stuff to the HomePod Mini U1 features. It was introduced yesterday as we record this, and didn't appear to have any new features, but it looks like it's going to have some functionality to take advantage of the U1 ultra wideband chip in the HomePod Mini. Now, the thing is, even if you're a beta tester, you won't get access to this. Apple only selects specific testers in order to be able to try this out. So, according to some of the information here in the Mac Rumors article, that it looks like you're going to have some more haptic touch rhythms, some all kinds of other stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Do you have any thoughts on that, Warren, with this?
I didn't, not on that one. I think the one that just came out did something with the
14.3.
Yeah, but something more with handoff. I think it had something. Right. I don't know. It did something with handoff. I don't know what it did yet, but it improved it.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Chuck, you have the HomePod. Have you used it much with your HomePod Mini since you got it? Or you've been liking it?
Oh yeah, I love it. And I think I'm not sure because I saw this happened by accident, but I was using my iPhone hands-free, with the speaker, and I had to go over near the HomePod Mini, and I got a little message that popped up and said, "Move this phone closer to transfer the call to the HomePod Mini."
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. And I did, and it did. And this sounds like this is just going to take that to an even greater level.
I turned that off right away. I hated it.
Me too. That's what I was saying.
Really? Yeah.
It's driving me crazy.
I'm like, if I wanted to play it on the HomePod, I would have started playing it on the HomePod.
I'll do it.
Yeah, but see, that's funny because I liked it because, okay, this means that if I'm, somewhere in the house and I'm on my phone and then I get back to an area where I could use the HomePod Mini as a speakerphone, all I have to do is just get it near it and it'll and agree and it'll transfer it over. So, well,
that's the future is you getting out of your car, listening to something or on a call. Don't do anything. Walk into your house and start hearing the call, walking through the rooms, and different speakers start activating as you're walking through. And the conversation or the audio following you, I think it's where they're going with this or trying to.
Yeah. So I saw it. It's interesting that you two turned it off. I saw it as a very positive thing. That's like, yeah, I'll use this. I will definitely use this.
Well, it depends on what you're watching, and then like your family's in a room, and all of a sudden, things come up on the HomePod, and it's like, that's a joke.
You're being a bad boy, Warren. You shouldn't be watching those things.
I'm listening. I'm listening to the bad rap music.
Yeah, that was interesting to see where that goes. So, and then 14.3 is officially out this week. It came out with the fact that the Fitness Plus was released as well. So that was one of the more primary things here. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the features that were added to it. I guess the privacy, we just talked about privacy, that they're calling them privacy nutrition labels. And I guess that's a good fitting way of describing that, because I looked that up, and this actually was an article that you shared on your Flipboard for MacVoices here, Chuck, that Apple must here. I guess it's interesting for the fact that it's going to be able to give developers the opportunity to have these labels, and that's what you just talked about how their data is being shared. So they're calling them nutrition labels. So found that to be a little interesting, but that was added, and as we talked about with privacy, the app clips is now going to be you're going to be able to actually launch an app clip. They introduced that. They talked about that back at WWDC, and then now that's out, and you have to start seeing these app clips where you can scan the little clip code and be able to open the app just without having the app installed, and be able to act on something like a parking spot or things like that. That was added. So I don't think I haven't. Have you guys seen the app clips? I haven't seen anything really yet.
I have not.
Not so far.
Yeah.
But the app labels labels are hilarious. So if you actually start to look at it, because I looked at the Facebook one and the nutrition labels like this one, but then if you go into things that you wouldn't even think is doing anything, like games, or like I'm looking, but it's anything that you would never think is collecting information about you. You look at the nutrition label and you'll see that they're all doing it. They're all collecting something.
Oh yeah. Yep. So, and then the Pro RAW support, of course, was added to all the high-end iPhones. The iPhone 12, 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max now have Pro RAW format for photography. I don't know if I'll be using that much, because those are pretty high-end photos, but you also take that's going to be at the expense of space, because the file size will be at a minimum about 25 megabytes per photo. So you better have a large size iPhone to store all that. And it is a thing with photography, being able to capture a lot of those types of that information when you take a photo, and be able to have many ways of being able to edit them. You think you'll be as much RAW at all, Chuck, with yours?
I don't know, David. I need to learn more. It's one of those things that now I've kind of got a reason to. But I guess my thought was, it's going to be a space thing, but it's also going to be a bandwidth thing, because if you are using iPhotos, let me try again. Sorry. Photos in iCloud, then those are going to be things that get transferred over, and most likely you're going to have it set up to be doing on your Wi-Fi as opposed to your cell. So you're thinking bandwidth caps and everything. But on the other hand, from what I understand about RAW and the little bit I've played with it, it gives you a lot of editing capabilities that you just don't have in a normal JPEG, or even Apple's what is it? I can't remember what
HEIC.
Yes.
HEIC.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be one of those things you'll turn on when you are in a special place and you really want to get that very special photo. I don't think you're going to use it for just the quick snapshots that we all do. Right.
So it's going to be something I'm going to play with it. I want to see what it's all about, and I have an app pick we'll talk about here in a little bit that takes advantage of it as well. I'm sure many other these camera apps are going to. So, Other things they added with the camera is the camera improvements will include support for video at 25 frames per second and the capacity to mirror the front-facing camera for still photos. On the older iPhones, the 6S, the 6S Plus, SE, 7, 7 Plus, 8, 8 Plus, and 10. So you'll be able to mirror your front-facing camera for still photos, which you weren't able to do before. The 12 or the higher end, the 11 and 12 already had that capability as it was, so they just added that support to the older phones. And we just talked about it, the proximity controls for the HomePod. Now that was added, so we don't have to beat that to death again. So they're called proximity controls. And the reason why I turned it off, because I actually have one of my HomePod Mini. I have two, so I have one of them at my bedside, and I put it down to charge. And if I'm playing, I might usually like to listen to a podcast or radio to fall asleep, and I don't want it to transfer to the HomePod right away because it's sitting right next to it. So that was one of the other reasons why I had turned it off. But I may turn it back on. We'll see what it does. So Fitness Plus, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit, and it now works on the Apple Watch as well as the iPhone, the iPad, the Apple TV. Video workouts, the whole shebang. We'll talk about that in just a bit here as far as what that's added. The weather app, they added air quality health recommendations are now at specific air quality levels for the United States and other countries, UK, Germany, India, and Mexico, and specific areas as well for China and as far as air quality data. The shortcuts gets what they say stealthy. Now the shortcuts won't take over a whole screen. So when you launch, if you've created a shortcut that does something for you when it launches an app, it'll just show a banner at the top instead of going right into the shortcuts app and do that. Have you set up any shortcuts, Chuck, as far as these things?
Yeah,
I haven't.
I've played with them, and there are a couple I have, but I know there's some people that dug so deep into them, and
they really have.
It's one of the things on my list to try to experiment more with over the holiday break, because I just haven't had the time to do it, but I find it fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I'm the same with you. It's making the time for it. That and the widgets. I need to spend time on both of those because those are places that there's some crazy people that have done some serious customizations with widgets as well as shortcuts. So, more into, have you done anything with shortcuts with the automating anything?
Yeah, a few. I mean, the one I use every day is my very expensive Tesla did not come with a garage door opener. For whatever reason, they charge you $300 extra for that, and I didn't want to pay the $300. So I have one of those Chamberlain automatic door openers, and I kind of hacked it to work with the HomeKit. So now when I leave, I hit my watch and say open garage. It does that, and it says done. And then I come back and I say close garage, and that's saved me $300. So there you go.
There you go. And then the TV app, they did some improvements there. They actually added a TV Plus tab, which I think is great because it was always hard when you were navigating through the TV app to try to find content. If you wanted to see the original content Apple has been releasing, you had to dig a little deep to find it. Well, now there's a specific tab for it. So any content that's part of TV Plus is going to be right there for you for all the original shows, and enhancing the search too, browsing categories like genre and that they added that too. But that's a good thing. They did that on the Apple TV as well as iPad and iPhone. So I think too. This one was interesting too. Is I never even heard of this search engine called Acacia. It's a new search engine that you can change in Safari. So you have another choice of search engine. And I guess you can dump it in favor of Google if you so choose, and it gets results with Bing, which, so basically I could use Bing, right? But I guess it has as a good thing for the environment because it does plant a tree on your behalf each time you make 45 search requests. So, I've never heard of this, Chuck. Have you?
No, it's one more thing that, Apple puts their weight behind a little bit, that it doesn't sacrifice anything for the users, and it sounds like it tries to do a little bit of good. And so, I haven't tried it. I'm not exactly enthused about Bing being the back end, but on the other hand, the search engines are the search engines, and unless you're going to use something like Brave, or DuckDuckGo, those two really try to. They have privacy as a super focus. Just not going to. I'll try it. I'll try it and see how it goes.
So The thing is, if they'll plant a tree for you, but they'll also send your information to Russia. That's in the fine print, by the way.
Oh, well, good to know. Thank you. I didn't read the fine print yet.
What do you guys think about planting trees and things
planting
like that?
trees is good.
I never heard of that. Yeah. I mean, do you trust that they're actually going to do that? I guess
there are all kind of these promotions out there, and you'd like to believe that they do, and that doesn't. I don't know these folks, so that's not saying that I'm that deeply skeptical. But
yeah, I mean, there's a few. What's the sock company that gives you? There's a and what's the guy with the cans outside? You hear stories like, oh, well, actually, only 10% of the profits go here and there. So you could it's just too hard to know what they're doing with the money. So
yeah,
you got to trust it.
But I did want to go back since we have time here and debate with you just a little bit on the Facebook thing from earlier.
Yeah.
Because I see your point, and it's really it's an excellent point. But I guess the thing is that they built their business without our permission, if you think about it. And they took advantage of not exactly a loophole, but the fact that people weren't paying attention, and they really took it to an extreme degree. And that's why now there's so much scrutiny. And it's one reason that Apple said, well, hey, we're going to start doing this. And now all of a sudden, oh my God, you're cutting the legs out from under us.
Yeah, but it's not the first time. I mean, I'm sure the first people who got TVs and saw the first commercials, like, what the heck is this? Why do I? It's they have to find ways. I mean, it's commerce, it's the economy. Again, it's going towards a good cause. At least, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is to keep businesses running. I don't know if they did. They were sneaky about it. At first, it was like this whole open social network. It was fun. I don't think they had the advertising in the beginning, right? That came a couple of years after Facebook launched, I'm sure.
Let's talk about Fitness Plus here. So they added some interesting things here with Fitness Plus, including all the different types of workouts, and you can go through and make set it up so it's customized to you. All kinds of different things, including yoga and core exercises and strength, and it also has a section here for beginners, and that's probably something I would, if I'm going to utilize this, I would go through with beginners and try to figure out some of the workouts that I probably get a good excuse to start doing the workouts. Are you guys, Chuck? Do you think you're gonna take a look at Fitness Plus at all?
Only for if I think there's a demo time period, I will do that.
Yeah.
I'm not inclined to spend money on this kind of thing because it's just not the way that I would choose to do a workout. But that's me. I think this is going to do what's really going to be interesting about Fitness Plus for me is to see how Apple will keep it up and keep it fresh, because that's always a challenge. It's tough enough to get people to engage in a workout, and so if it's going to be the same workout over and over and over, there are plenty of other options out there. Sure. I think that's going to be the really interesting part of it.
From the way it looks, I think that they've hired all kinds of different trainers, and it shows it on the iPad and the iPhone, all the different trainers that are going to be doing this. So there's quite a bit of content here, and from what I had been hearing, that they are going to rotate things out, change it up, and make it fresh. So which is a good thing. But there's a little something for everybody, even including cycling and rowing, dancing, and then they also include a mindful cool down when you do work out. They even give you the options of cooling down, and of course the high intensity stuff, which I will never do. I think it's called HIIT. I'm not too familiar with that, but it does have that as well, and it is part of the Apple One bundle. So Warren and I both have the Premier plan, so it is included in that bundle because we are still saving lots of money with all the other items that are in the bundle. So we've already had it from going in here. So and it does work across all the platforms as well as Apple TV. So you can go, and if you want to work out right in front of your TV, you'll be able to go right to the Apple TV, connect your Apple Watch, be able to do the workout right from there as well. So it seems like it's got a lot of interesting things. Again, I said I'm not one to be doing that much heavy working out, but definitely interesting to see where it goes here. Warren, do you have any thoughts?
No, I opened up the app and I got winded and scared, so I closed it back up.
That's right.
but I imagine one day I should definitely at least move a little bit. So this might help.
It might help a little bit, and yeah. and it will work with a lot of the different with different equipment that you may have, like a treadmill or elliptical or rowing with a rower. If people have that, or if you have a stationary bike, you could set your iPhone or your iPad right up on the right on your screen there, and being able to do the workout. And I mean,
you could do it. We could see our TV from our dinner table. I could watch the workouts while eating dinner.
Yeah, there you go. So it should be interesting to see. A couple other things that they did. I see also. I put a link in here in the show notes that Lifetime Fitness, which is probably one of the biggest health clubs out there, is going to incorporate offering Apple Fitness Plus as part of the membership. So you could utilize that while you're working out in the club. So they're trying to entice people to keep their membership and still use the equipment, but that you can use App Fitness Plus as part of your workout regimen. So,
David, that'll be interesting to see how that works. Whether they assign a temporary code or what they've done in conjunction with Apple, or whether it's just going to be okay at the top of the hour, we're going to start this Fitness Plus workout. And then I'm starting to wonder about the licensing issues. Are they allowed to do that and put it up for a group? So
yeah,
a lot of questions on that one, but I like the idea. I just think
I do.
It's interesting.
According to the article, it's from Mac Rumors that Lifetime Fitness is going to complement that with the gym's existing training and fitness programs, and being able to be digitally alongside of their health and well-being services. So I think that's really what they're doing. They see what Apple's trying to do. So they decided to jump right in and include that. Because they used to, Lifetime actually used to offer Apple's Gym Kit enabled cardio equipment back in 2017 when that was still available. So this is probably kind of went along with that as well as that goes too.
What's going to be really, everybody's doing it now because of COVID and the gyms are closed, at least here in the Northeast are closed. So when things get sort of back to normal, how many people are going to go back to the gyms and how many people are going to cancel their Pelotons and Fitness Plus memberships?
Right, that's going to be interesting. I think Peloton, if anybody, is probably a little more nervous about this than anybody else.
But the thing with the Peloton, I've heard stories about that. But the thing with the Peloton is you're buying a very expensive bike to go along with your subscription. So there's a lot more to lose if you decide not to do it anymore. So that's
you are. I mean, it's definitely going to be an expensive thing if you abandon it, if you already have it. So. The iPad did not have a fitness app on it at first, so you have to download the iPad app. I've linked in there in the show notes for that as well. And very easy to do. Just go into the App Store, search for Fitness Plus, and it just downloads. It's more limited to what it has. It's just the fitness as far as being Apple access to Fitness Plus, but. They added support, and there was a question of whether or not you had to have an Apple Watch in order to be able to use this. And I guess it come to find out that it is possible that you could still do the workouts and not have an Apple Watch, because some people don't have an Apple Watch, some people don't have an iPhone, some people may not have an iPad, so you'll have that option to do that as well. They also have options if you want to download the workouts for offline viewing. Maybe you're not going to have internet access or Wi-Fi, and you may want to download it offline as well. So, a lot of things available for it, and I think it's going to be interesting to see where it goes and how things go as far as that goes too. So, you guys have anything else relates to Fitness Plus?
Just watch and see.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. So. All right, I've got a couple tips I threw in here this week, and we just talked about this a couple of times now about the handoff feature with the HomePod and the HomePod Mini. I have an article in iMore that actually talks about how it works, as well as how you would actually go in and turn it on or off. And what you do is to go into your settings on your iPhone, and you go into General, and then you go to AirPlay and Handoff, and then there is a switch right in there to turn off transfer to HomePod. And if you decide you want to turn it on or turn it off, you can. And it's very easy to do. And also gives you some tips on how to be able to transfer your audio from your iPhone to your HomePod as well. So it has some interesting controls as far as that goes as well. And then other tip I had here, this was an interesting article. Actually, you shared this, Chuck, out on MacVoices. This was on creative. There are 4 different ways of being able to add contacts. And did you recall this, Chuck? That's what the different steps were here.
I don't recall. I remember reading it, and I remember thinking, yeah, and I knew those. I sort of forgotten about, I think, 2 of them, but they were all kind of obvious. I know you can, for example, you can create one from an existing phone call. If you've got if you've got the call log, you can go in and say, okay, David called me, and here's his full name, and here's any other information I have on him. You can do one from an email message. You can do one from a text message. And for the life of me, I can't remember what the fourth one was, but they were all sort of obvious. Yeah. But you forget about them.
Yeah, you do. You do. I was having trouble opening the website, so thank you for bringing those up here. I got this now at the bottom of the contact card is a spot for notes. So if you want to add like a notes information about that person, or you can add other fields in there. And then you also have options for entering information about the person. You open the contacts and tap the plus sign, and like I said, it's from a call. You can do it right from there. I think that's really convenient. From a text message, you can do that as well. Tap the message in the text conversation and the info button, and then allows you to create a contact from there, as well as stuff in email. The mail app allows you to be able to open mail, and if there's a contact in there, you can add them as a contact that way as well. So that was the 4 ways of being able to do that. So, and then had a couple apps I wanted to talk about this week. First app here is actually from our friends at macsales.com or OWC. This is an app called OWC Copy That. And what this app does is works on both the iPhone and the iPad. It gives you the options to being able to easily choose to copy, create, and paste files and move them off of your iPhone onto external storage. So if you wanted to plug in an external external drive like a solid state, you plug it in, and the app just lets you do it, and lets you copy things over, copy in different places. It is free, and it does have in-app purchase that'll give you more secure ways of copying things as well. So I thought it was a great little app, and like I said, available for both iPhone and iPad. Really good app here. So, and then the other one I had here was from is an app that's been a great app for using it with your camera, is Halide Mark II, which does give you some great enhanced flexibilities as far as editing goes, and it does work with the camera with the RAW, with the Pro RAW from Apple that just came out. This has been a very, 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 very popular app here, and does give you lots of incredible features as far as expansion, as far as editing photos and such. Either of you guys have you used this app at all? The Halide, it's called Halide.
I have it. I've snapped some pictures with it. I haven't gone in depth with it.
Yeah.
But it's right now it seems like it's hard to have a bad camera app on the phone.
It's pretty.
It just depends on how
rare.
Much control. Yeah.
And there's so many of them out there now. It's crazy. They do have in-app purchase for this too as well. If you want some of the advanced features, you have a yearly $11.99, or you can do a one-time purchase for $39.99, and you own it for life. So So that interesting model, but it is free to try. So you can try it out and see if it works for you. It's got a lot of great reviews, and a lot of people are liking it. And again, they added the support for the 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max for Pro Raw, and available to be able to use it. So, those were some of the apps that I had for this week. And I think with that, unless you guys have anything else, I think we talked quite a bit tonight, and as well as me losing my headphones. But if you have anything else here, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Okay.
It happens.
Yes, it does. Well, let's wrap away here. So thanks that is a wrap for this week. And please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios, or you can also subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsberg, and you can follow me on Twitter @DaveG65. And Chuck, thanks for being here. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me over at macvoices.com. That's where you can see all the discussions and interviews that we do. Right now, we're getting ready to wrap up our holiday gift guides as the holiday actually approaches. And you can find me on social media as @ChuckJoyner. Thanks for having me, David. Always a pleasure.
Yes, thanks for being here. And I as well reciprocate being on Mac Voices Live every Tuesday night on Facebook. So we really enjoy it. We're really enjoying that. I think that's a great thing you came up with, and I think you've got a hit on your hands here with people coming on and having some great conversations. So, as well as I was on the very first gift guide. So I linked that a couple when it came out a couple weeks ago. So thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And Warren, what's been going on at Mac to the Future? Anything exciting?
Same old stuff. But I like to thank Chuck for being here too. Yeah. So it's always fun.
Yes,
it is.
Yes.
Even if we disagree about the Facebook privacy.
I don't know if we disagree. I think we'll just each bring valid points to conversation is what we're doing.
There you go.
Absolutely. You go. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. And thanks for listening. Program note that we're going to take the Christmas holiday off, and then we'll be back close to New Year's with a new episode. So I wish everybody happy holidays, and whatever you celebrate, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and happy holidays, and have a great the rest of your year. And thanks for listening.